Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. Translated by Eda Morshead. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Seven Against Thebes. Cast of Characters. Narrator, read by Charlotte Duckett.
Eteocles, read by Daniel Vimont.
Chorus 1, read by Elizabeth Klett.
Chorus 2, read by Libby Gohn.
Spy, read by Cynthia Moyer.
Antigone, read by Amanda Friday.
Ismene, read by Caprisha Page.
Herald, read by Alan Mapstone.
Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus.
Clansmen of Cadmus, at the signal given by time and season, must the ruler speak, who sets the course and steers the ship of state with hand upon the tiller, and with eye watchful against the treachery of sleep. For if all go aright, thank heaven, men say, but if adversely, which may God forfend, one name on many lips, from street to street, would bear the bruit and rumour of the time. Down with Eteocles! A clamorous curse, a dirge of ruin. May averting Zeus make good his title here, in Cadmus hold. You, it beseems now, boys, unripened yet to lusty manhood, men gone past the prime and increase of the full begetting seed, and those whom youth and manhood well combined. Array for action! All to rise in aid of city, shrines, and altars of all powers who guard our land, that ne'er, to end of time, be blotted out the sacred service due to our sweet motherland, and to her brood. For she it was, who to their guest-right called your waxing youth, was patient of the toil, and cherished you on the land's gracious lap, alike to plant the hearth and bear the shield in loyal service for an hour like this. Mark now, until today, luck rules our scale. For we, though long beleaguered, in the main have with our sallies struck the foeman hard. But now the seer, the feeder of the birds, whose art unerring and prophetic skill of ear and mind divines their utterance without the lore of fire interpreted, foretelleth, by the mastery of his art, that now an onset of Achaea's host is by a counsel of the night designed to fall in double strength upon our walls. Up and away, then, to the battlements, the gates, the bulwarks. Don your panoplies, array you at the breastwork, take your stand on floorings of the towers, and with good heart stand firm for sudden sallies at the gates. Nor hold too heinous a respect for hordes sent on you from afar. Some God will guard. I, too, for shrewd espial of their camp, have sent forth scouts, and confidence is mine. They will not fail nor tremble at their task, and with their news I fear no foeman's guile.
Enter a spy.
Eteocles, high king of Cadmus' folk, I stand here with news certified and sure from Argos' camp, things by myself descried. 7 warriors yonder, doughty chiefs of might, into the crimsoned concave of a shield have shed a bull's blood, and with hands immersed into the gore of sacrifice have sworn by Ares, lord of fight, and by thy name, blood-lapping terror. Let our oath be heard, either to raze the walls, make void the hold of Cadmus, strive his children as they may, or, dying here, to make the foeman's land with blood impasted. Then, as memory's gift, unto their parents at the far-off home, chaplets they hung upon Adrastus' car, with eyes tear-dropping, but no word of moan. For their steeled spirit glowed with high resolve, as lions pant with battle in their eyes. For them no weak alarm delays the clear issues of death or life. I parted thence, even as they cast the lots, how each should lead, against which gate his serried company. Rank then thy bravest, with what speed thou mayst, hard by the gates, to dash on them, for now full armed the onward ranks of Argos come. The dust whirls up, and from their panting steeds white foamy flakes like snow bedew the plain. Thou, therefore, chieftain, like a steersman skilled, enshield the city's bulwarks, ere the blast of war comes darting on them. Hark the roar of the great land storm with its waves of men. Take fortune by the forelock. For the rest, by yonder dawn light will I scan the field, clear and aright, and surety of my word shall keep thee scatheless of the coming storm.
O Zeus and earth and city-guarding gods, and thou, my father's curse of baneful might, spare ye at least this town, nor root it up by violence of the foemen, stock and stem. For here, from home and hearth, rings Hellas' tongue. Forbid that e'er the yoke of slavery should bow this land of freedom, Cadmus hold. Be ye her help. Your cause I plead with mine. A city saved doth honor to her gods.
Exit Eteocles, etc. Enter the chorus of maidens.
I wail in the stress of my terror, and shrill is my cry of despair. The foemen roll forth from their camp as a billow, and onward they bear. Their horsemen are swift in the forefront, the dust rises up to the sky. A signal, though speechless, of doom, a herald more clear than a cry. Hoof-trampled, the land of my love bears onward the din to mine ears. As a torrent descending a mountain, it thunders and echoes and nears. The doom is unloosened and cometh.
O kings and O queens of high heaven, prevail that it fall not upon us. The sign for their onset is given. They stream to the walls from without, white shielded and keen for the fray. They storm to the citadel gates. What god or what goddess can stay the rush of their feet? To what shrine shall I bow me in terror and pray?
O gods, high-throned in bliss, we must crouch at the shrines in your home. Not here must we tarry and wail, shield clashes on shield as they come. And now, even now, is the hour for the robes and the chaplets of prayer. Mine eyes feel the flash of the sword, the clang is instinct with the spear.
Is thy hand set against us, O Ares, in ruin and wrath to o'erwhelm thine own immemorial land? O God of the golden helm, look down upon us, we beseech thee, on the land that thou lovest of old.
And ye, O protecting gods, in pity your people behold. Yea, save us, the maidenly troop, from the doom and despair of the slave. For the crests of the foemen come onward, their rush is the rush of a wave rolled on by the war god's breath. Almighty One, hear us, and save from the grasp of the Argives' might.
To the ramparts of Cadmus they crowd, and clenched in the teeth of the steeds the bits clink horror aloud. And the 7 high chieftains of war, with spear and with panoply bold, are set by the law of the lot to storm the 7 gates of our hold.
Be near and befriend us, O Pallas, the Zeus-born maiden of might.
O Lord of the steed and the sea, be thy trident uplifted to smite in eager desire of the fray, Poseidon.
And Ares come down, in fatherly presence revealed, to rescue harmonious town.
Thine too, Aphrodite, we are. Thou art mother and queen of our race. To thee we cry out in our need. From thee let thy children have grace. Ye too, to scare back the foe, be your cry as a wolf's howl wild.
Thou, O the wolf-lord, and thou of she-wolf Leto the child, woe and alack for the sound, for the rattle of cars to the wall, and the creak of the grinding axles.
O Hera, to thee is our call.
Artemis, maiden beloved, the air is distraught with the spears, and whither doth destiny drive us, and where is the goal of our fears?
The blast of the terrible stones on the ridge of our wall is not stayed. At the gates is the brazen clash of the bucklers. Apollo to aid!
Thou too, O daughter of Zeus, who guidest the wavering fray.
To the holy decision of fate, Athena, be with us today. Come down to the sevenfold gates, and harry the foemen away.
O gods, and O sisters of gods, our bulwark and guard, we beseech that ye give not our war-worn hold to a rabble of alien speech. List to the call of the maidens, the hands held up for the right.
Be near us, protect us, and show that the city is dear in your sight. Have need for her sacrifice holy, and thought of her offerings take. Forget not her love and her worship. Be near her, and smite for her sake.
Re-enter Eteocles.
Hark to my question, things detestable. Is this a right, and for the city's weal, and helpful to our army thus beset, that ye, before the statues of our gods, should fling yourselves, and scream and shriek your fears? Immodest, uncontrolled. Be this my lot, never in troublous nor in peaceful days to dwell with aught that wears a female form. Where womankind has power, no man can house. Where womankind feeds panic, ruin rules alike in house and city. Look you now, your flying feet, and rumor of your fears, have spread as soulless panic on our walls, and they without do go from strength to strength, and we within make breach upon ourselves. Such fate it brings to house with womankind. Therefore, if any shall resist my rule, or man, or woman, or some sexless thing, the vote of sentence shall decide their doom, and stones of execution past escape shall finish all. Let not a woman's voice be loud in council. For the things without, a man must care. Let women keep within. Even then is mischief all too probable. Hear ye, or speak I to unheeding ears?
Ah, but I shudder, child of Oedipus. I heard the clash and clang. The axles rolled and rumbled. Woe to us, fire-welded bridles rang.
Say, when a ship is strained and deep in brine, did e'er a seaman mend his chance who left the helm to invoke the image at the prow?
Ah, but I fled to the shrines, I called to our helpers on high. When the stone shower roared at the portals, I sped to the temples aloft, and loud was my call and my cry, Look down and deliver, immortals.
Aye, pray amain that stone may vanquish steel. Were not that grace of gods? Aye, methinks, when cities fall, the gods go forth from them.
Ah, let me die, or ever I behold the gods go forth in conflagration dire. The foemen's rush and raid, and all our hold wrapped in the burning fire.
Cry not on heaven in impotent debate. What saith the saw? Good saving strength, in verity, out of obedience breeds the babe prosperity.
'Tis true, yet stronger is the power divine, and oft when man's estate is overbowed, with bitter pangs disperses from his eyne the heavy hanging cloud.
Let men with sacrifice and augury approach the gods when comes the tug of war. Maids must be silent and abide within.
By grace of the gods we hold it, a city untamed of the spear, and the battlement wards from the wall the foe and his aspect of fear. What need of displeasure herein?
Aye, pay thy vows to heaven, I grudge them not. But, so thou strike no fear into our men, have calm at heart, nor be too much afraid.
Alack, it is fresh in mine ears, the clamour and crash of the fray, and up to our holiest height I sped on my timorous way, bewildered, beset by the din.
Now, if ye hear the bruit of death or wounds, give not yourselves o'ermuch to shriek and scream, for Ares ravens upon human flesh.
Oh, but the snorting of the steeds I hear.
Then, if thou hearest, hear them not too well.
Hark, the earth rumbles as they close us round.
Enough if I am here, with plans prepared.
Alack, the battering at the gates is loud.
Peace, stay your tongue, or else the town may hear.
O warders of the walls, betray them not.
Bestrew your cries, in silence face your fate.
Gods of our city, see me not enslaved.
On me, on all, thy cries bring slavery.
Zeus, strong to smite, turn upon foes thy blow.
Zeus, what a curse are women, wrought by thee!
Weak wretches, even as men, when cities fall.
What? Clasping gods, yet voicing thy despair?
In the sick heart fear maketh prey of speech.
Light is the thing I ask thee. Do my will.
Ask swiftly, swiftly shall I know my power.
Silence, weak wretch, nor put thy friends in fear.
I speak no more. The general fate be mine.
I take that word as wiser than the rest. Nay, more. These images possess thy will. Pray, in their strength, that heaven be on our side. Then hear my prayers withal, and then ring out the female triumph note, thy privilege. Yea, utter forth the usage Hellas knows, the cry beside the altars, sounding clear encouragement to friends, alarm to foes. But I, unto all gods that guard our walls, lords of the plain or warders of the mart, and to Isthmus stream and Dirge's rills, I swear, if fortune smiles and saves our town, that we will make our altars reek with blood of sheep and kine, shed forth unto the gods, and with victorious tokens front our fannies. Corsets and cases that once our foemen wore, spear-shattered now, to deck these holy homes. Be such thy vows to heaven. Away with sighs, away with outcry vain and barbarous that shall avail not in a general doom. But I will back, and with 6 chosen men, myself the 7th, to confront the foe in this great aspect of a poised war, return and plant them at the 7-fold gates, or ere the prompt and clamorous battle scouts haste to inflame our council with the need.
Exit Eteocles.
I mark his words, yet dark and deep my heart's alarm forbiddeth sleep. Close clinging cares around my soul enkindle fears beyond control, presageful of what doom may fall from the great leaguer of the wall. So a poor dove is faint with fear for her weak nestlings, while anew glides on the snaky ravisher. In troop and squadron, hand on hand, they climb and throng, and hemmed we stand, while on the warders of our town the flinty shower comes hurtling down.
Gods born of Zeus, put forth your might for Cadmus' city, realm, and right. What nobler land shall e'er be yours, if once ye give to hostile powers the deep rich soil, and Dirce's wave, the nursing stream Poseidon gave, and Tethys' children? Up and save! Cast on the ranks that hem us round a deadly panic, make them fling their arms in terror on the ground, and die in carnage. Thence shall spring high honour for our clan and king.
Come at our wailing cry, and stand as throned sentries of our land. For pity and sorrow it were that this immemorial town should sink to be slave of the spear, to dust and to ashes gone down. By the gods of Achaean worship and arms of Achaean might, sacked and defiled and dishonoured, its women the prize of the fight. That hailed by the hair as a steed, their mantles dishevelled and torn, the maiden and matron alike should pass to the wedlock of scorn.
I hear it arise from the city, the manifold wail of despair. Woe, woe for the doom that shall be, as in grasp of the foemen they fare. For a woe and a weeping it is, if the maiden in violet flower is plucked by the foe in his might, not culled in the bridal bower. Alas, for the hate and the horror, how say it? Less hateful by far is the doom to be slain by the sword, hewn down in the carnage of war.
For wide, ah, wide is the woe when the foeman has mounted the wall. There is havoc and terror and flame, and the dark smoke broods over all. And wild is the war god's breath as in frenzy of conquest he springs, and pollutes with the blast of his lips the glory of holiest things. Up to the citadel rise clash and din, the war net closes in. The spear is in the heart, with blood imbrued young mothers wail aloud, for children at their breast who scream and die.
And boys and maidens fly, yet scape not the pursuer in his greed to thrust and grasp and feed. Robber with robber joins, each calls his mate unto the feast of hate. The banquet low is spread, seize, rend and tear, no need to choose or share. And all the wealth of earth to waste is poured, a sight by all abhorred.
The grieving housewives eye it, heaped and blent. Earth's boons are spoiled and spent, and waste to nothingness. And oh, alas, young maids, forlorn ye pass, fresh horror at your hearts, beneath the power of those who crop the flower. Ye own the ruffian ravisher for lord, and night brings rights aboard. Woe, woe for you! Upon your grief and pain there comes a fouler stain.
Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. Translated by Eda Morshead. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. Enter, on one side the spy, on the other Eteocles and the 6 champions.
Look, friends, methinks the scout who parted hence to spy upon the foemen comes with news, his feet as swift as wafting chariot wheels.
Ay, and our king, the son of Oedipus, comes to prompt the time, to learn the spy's report. His heart is fainter than his foot is fast.
Well have I scanned the foe, and well can say unto which chief by lot each gate is given. Tydeus already with his onset cry storms at the gate called Protides, but him the seer Amphiaraus holds at halt, nor wills that he should cross Ismenus' ford until the sacrifices promise fair. But Tydeus, mad with lust of blood and broil, like to a cockatrice at noontide hour, hisses out wrath and smites with scourge of tongue the prophet son of Oecleus. Wise thou art, faint against war, and holding back from death. With such revilings loud upon his lips, he waves the triple plumes that o'er his helm float overshadowing as a courser's mane, and at his shield's rim, terror in their tone, clang and reverberate the brazen bells. And this proud sign wrought on his shield he bears, the vault of heaven inlaid with blazing stars, and for the boss the bright moon glows at full, the eye of night, the first and lordliest star. Thus with high vaunted armour, madly bold, he clamours by the stream bank, wild for war, as a steed panting grimly on his bit, held in and chafing for the trumpet's bray. Whom wilt thou set against him? When the gates of Protus yield, who can his rush repel?
To me, no blazon on a foeman's shield shall e'er present a fear. Such pointed threats are powerless to wound. His plumes and bells without a spear are snakes without a sting. Nay, more, that pageant of which thou tellest, the nightly sky displayed, ablaze with stars upon his shield, palters with double sense. one headstrong fool will find its truth anon. For if night fall upon his eyes in death, yon vaunting blazon will its own truth prove, and he is prophet of his folly's fall. Mine shall it be to pit against his power the loyal son of Aeschylus, as guard to hold the gateways. A right valiant soul, who has in heed the throne of modesty, and loathes the speech of pride, and evermore shrinks from the base, but knows no other fear. He springs by stock from those whom Ares spared, the men called sown, a right son of the soil, and Melanippus styled. Now, what his arm today shall do rests with the dice of war, and Ares shall ordain it. But his cause hath the true badge of right, to urge him on to guard, as son, his motherland from wrong.
Then may the gods give fortune fair unto our chief, sent forth to dare war's terrible arbitrament. But when champions wend away, I shudder, lest from out the fray only their blood-stained wrecks be sent.
Nay, let him pass, and the gods' help be his. Next, Capaneus comes on by lot to lead the onset at the gates Electron styled. A giant he, more huge than Tydeus' self, and more than human in his arrogance. May fate forfend his threat against our walls. God willing or unwilling, such his vaunt, I will lay waste this city, Pallas' self, Zeus's warrior maid, although she swoop to earth and plant her in my path, shall stay me not. And for the flashes of the levin bolt, he holds them harmless as the noontide rays. Mark, too, the symbol on his shield, a man, scornfully weaponless but torch in hand, and the flame glows within his grasp, prepared for ravin. Lo, the legend wrought in words, "Fire for the city bring I," flares in gold. Against such wight send forth yet whom? What man will front that vaunting figure and not fear?
Aha! This profits also, gain on gain. In sooth, for mortals, the tongue's utterance bewrays unerringly a foolish pride. Hither stalks Capaneus, with vaunt and threat, defying godlike powers, equipped to act, and mortal though he be, he strains his tongue in folly's ecstasy, and casts aloft high-swelling words against the ears of Zeus. Right well, I trust, if justice grants the word, that by the might of Zeus a bolt of flame in more than semblance shall descend on him. Against his vaunts, though reckless, I have set, to make assurance sure, a warrior stern. Strong Polyphantes, fervid for the fray, a sturdy bulwark he, by grace of heaven, and favour of his champion, Artemis. Say on, who holdeth the next gate in ward?
Perish the wretch whose vaunt affronts our home. On him the red bolt come, ere to the maiden bowers his way he cleave to ravage and bereave.
I will say on. Eteocles is third. To him it fell, what time the third lot sprang, o'er the inverted helmet's brazen rim, to dash his stormers on Neaestae gate. He wheels his mares, who at their frontlets chafe, and yearn to charge upon the gates amain. They snort the breath of pride, and, filled therewith, their nozzles whistle with barbaric sound. High, too, and haughty is his shield's device, an armed man who climbs from rung to rung, a scaling ladder, up a hostile wall, a fire to sack and slay, and he too cries, by letters full of sound, upon the shield, "Not Ares' self shall cast me from the wall." Look to it, send against this man a man strong to debar the slave's yoke from our town.
Pointing at Megarius.
Send will I even this man with luck to aid. By his worth sent already, not by pride and vain pretence is he. 'Tis Megarius, the child of Creon, of the earth-sprung born. He will not shrink from guarding of the gates, nor fear the maddened charger's frenzied neigh. But if he dies, will nobly quit the score for nurture to the land that gave him birth. Or from the shield side hew 2 warriors down, Eteocles and the figure that he lifts, aye, and the city pictured, all in one, and deck with spoils the temple of his sire. Announce the next pair, stint not of thy tongue.
O thou, the warder of my home, grant unto us fate's favouring tide, send on the foemen doom. They fling forth taunts of frenzied pride, on them may Zeus with glare of vengeance come.
Lo, next him stands a fourth and shouts amain by Pallas Onca's portal, and displays a different challenge. 'Tis Hepomedon, huge the device that starts up from his targe in high relief, and I deny it not, I shuddered, seeing how, upon the rim, it made a mighty circle round the shield. No sorry craftsman he who wrought that work, and clamped it all around the buckler's edge. The form was Typhon. From his glowing throat rolled lurid smoke, spark-litten, kin of fire. The flattened edgework, circling round the whole, made strong support for coiling snakes that grew erect above the concave of the shield. Loud rang the warrior's voice, inspired for war. He raves to slay, as doth a bacchanal. His very glance a terror. Of such wight beware the onset. Closing on the gates, he peals his vaunting and appalling cry.
Yet first our Pallas Onca, wardress she, planting her foot hard by her gate, shall stand, the maid against the ruffian, and repel his force, as from her brood the mother bird beats back the wintered serpent's venomed fang. And next, by her, is Oenops' gallant son Hyperbius, chosen to confront this foe, ready to seek his fate at fortune's shrine. In form, in valor, and in skill of arms, none shall gainsay him. See how wisely well Hermes hath set the brave against the strong. Confronted shall they stand, the shield of each bearing the image of opposing gods. One holds aloft his Typhon, breathing fire, but on the other shield in symbol sits Zeus, calm and strong, and fans his bolt to flame. Zeus, seen of all, yet seen of none to fail. Howbeit, weak is trust reposed in heaven, yet are we upon Zeus' victorious side, the foe with those he worsted. If in sooth Zeus against Typhon held the upper hand, and if Hyperbius, as well may hap when two such foes such diverse emblems bear, have Zeus upon his shield, a saving sign.
High faith is mine that he whose shield bears against Zeus the thing of hate, the giant Typhon thus revealed, a monster loathed of gods eternal, and mortal men this doom shall earn a shattered skull before the gate.
Heaven send it so. A fifth assailant now is set against our fifth, the northern gate, fronting the death mound where Amphion lies, the child of Zeus. This foeman vows his faith upon a mystic spearhead which he deems more holy than a godhead, and more sure to find its mark than any glance of eye, that will they, nill they, he will storm and sack the hold of the Cadmeans. Such his oath, his the bold warrior, yet of childish years, a bud of beauty's foremost flower, the son of Zeus and of the mountain maid. I mark how the soft down is waxing on his cheek, thick and close growing in its tender prime. In name not mood, is he a maiden's child. Parthenopaeus, large and bright his eyes, but fierce the wrath wherewith he fronts the gate, yet not unheralded he takes his stand before the portal, on his brazen shield, the rounded screen and shelter of his form, I saw him show the ravening Sphinx, the fiend that shamed our city, how it glared and moved, clamped on the buckler, wrought in high relief. And in its claws did a Cadmean bear. Nor heretofore for any single prey sped she aloft through such a storm of darts as now awaits her, so our foe is here, like as I deem to ply no stinted trade in blood and broil, but traffic as is meet in fierce exchange for his long wayfaring.
Ah, may they meet the doom they think to bring, they and their impious vaunts, from those on high. So should they sink, hurled down to deepest death. This foe, at least, by thee Arcadian styled, is faced by one who bears no braggart sign, but his hand sees to smite where blows avail. Actor, own brother to Hyperbius. He will not let a boast without a blow stream through our gates and nourish our despair, nor give him way who on his hostile shield bears the brute image of the loathly Sphinx. Blocked at the gate, she will rebuke the man who strives to thrust her forward when she feels thick crash of blows up to the city wall. With heaven's good will, my forecast shall be true.
Home to my heart the vaunting goes, and quick with terror on my head rises my hair at sound of those who wildly, impiously rave. If gods there be, to them I plead, give them to darkness and the grave.
Fronting the sixth gate stands another foe, wisest of warriors, bravest among seers. Such must I name Amphiaraus. He, set steadfast at the Homoloid gate, berates strong Tydeus with reviling words. The man of blood, the bane of state and home to Argos, arch allurer to all ill, evoker of the fury fiend of hell, death's minister and counsellor of wrong, unto Adrastus in this fatal field. Ay, and with eyes upturned and mien of scorn, he chides thy brother Polynices too, at his desert, and once and yet again dwells hard and meaningly upon his name, where it saith glory, yet importeth feud. Yea, such thou art in act, and such thy grace in sight of heaven, and such in after time, thy fame for lips and ears of mortal men. He strove to sack the city of his sires, and temples of her gods, and brought on her an alien armament of foreign foes. The fountain of maternal blood outpoured, what power can staunch? Even so thy fatherland, once by thine ardent malice stormed and ta'en, shall ne'er join force with thee. For me, I know it doth remain to let my blood enrich the border of this land that loves me not. Blood of a prophet in a foreign grave. Now for the battle, I foreknow my doom, yet it shall be with honour. So he spake, the prophet, holding up his targe of bronze wrought without blazon to the ears of men who stood around and heeded not his word. For on no bruit and rumour of great deeds, but on their doing is his spirit set. And in his heart he reaps a furrow rich, wherefrom the foison of good counsel springs. Against him send brave heart and hand of might, for the god-lover is man's fiercest foe.
Out on the chance that couples mortal men, linking the just and impious in one. In every issue, the one curse is this: companionship with men of evil heart. A baneful harvest, let none gather it. The field of sin is rank and brings forth death. At whiles a righteous man, who goes aboard with reckless mates, a horde of villainy, dies by one death with that detested crew. At whiles the just man, joined with citizens ruthless to strangers, recking naught of heaven, trapped against nature in one net with him, dies by God's thrust and all-including blow. So will this prophet die, even Eteocles' child, sage, just, and brave, and loyal towards heaven, potent in prophecy, but mated here with men of sin, too boastful to be wise. Long is their road, and they return no more. And at their taking off, by hand of Zeus, the prophet too shall take the downward way. He will not, so I deem, assail the gate, not as through cowardice or feeble will, but as one knowing to what end shall be their struggle in the battle, if indeed fruit of fulfilment lie in Loxias' word. He speaketh not, unless to speak avails. Yet, for more surety, we will post a man, strong Lasthenes, as warder of the gate, stern to the foeman. He hath age's skill, mated with youthful vigor, and an eye forward, alert, swift too his hand, to catch the fenceless interval twixt shield and spear. Yet man's good fortune lies in hand of heaven.
Unto our loyal cry, ye gods, give ear.
Save, save the city! Turn away the spear! Send on the foemen fear! Outside the rampart fall they, rent and riven, beneath the bolt of heaven.
Last, let me name yon seventh antagonist, thy brother's self at the seventh portal set. Hear with what wrath he imprecates our doom, vowing to mount the wall, though banished hence, and peal aloud the wild exulting cry, "The town is ta'en!" Then clash his sword with thine, giving and taking death in close embrace, or, if thou scapest, flinging upon thee, as robber of his honour and his home, the doom of exile, such as he has borne. So clamours he, and so invokes the gods who guard his race and home, to hear and heed the curse that sounds in Polynices' name. He bears a round shield, fresh from forge and fire, and wrought upon it is a twofold sign. For, lo, a woman leads decorously the figure of a warrior wrought in gold. And thus the legend runs: I Justice am, and I will bring the hero home again, to hold once more his place within this town, once more to pace his sire's ancestral hall. Such are the symbols by our foemen shown. Now make thine own decision whom to send against this last opponent. I have said, nor canst thou in my tidings find a flaw. Thine is it now to steer the course aright.
Ah me, the madman and the curse of heaven! And woe for us, the lamentable line of Oedipus! And woe that in this house our father's curse must find accomplishment. But now, a truce to tears and loud lament, lest they should breed a still more rueful wail. As for this Polynices, named too well, soon shall we know how his device shall end, whether the gold-wrought symbols on his shield, in their mad vaunting and bewildered pride, shall guide him as a victor to his home. For had but Justice, maiden child of Zeus, stood by his act and thought, it might have been. Yet never, from the day he reached the light out of the darkness of his mother's womb, Never in childhood, nor in youthful prime, nor when his chin was gathering its beard, hath justice hailed or claimed him as her own. Therefore I deem not that she standeth now to aid him in this outrage on his home. Misnamed, in truth, were justice utterly, if to impiety she lent her hand. Sure in this faith, I will myself go forth and match me with him. Who hath fairer claim? Ruler against one fain to snatch the rule, brother with brother matched, and foe with foe will I confront the issue. To the wall!
O thou true heart, O child of Oedipus, be not in wrath too like the man whose name murmurs an evil omen. 'Tis enough that Cadmus' clan should strive with Argos' host, for blood there is that can atone that stain. But brother upon brother dealing death, not time itself can expiate the sin.
If man find hurt, yet clasp his honour still, 'tis well. The dead have honour, naught beside. Hurt with dishonour wins no word of praise.
Ah, what is thy desire? Let not the lust and ravin of the sword bear thee adown the tide accursed, abhorred. Fling off thy passion's rage, thy spirit's prompting dire.
Nay, since the god is urgent for our doom, let Laius' house, by Phoebus loathed and scorned, follow the gale of destiny and win its great inheritance, the gulf of hell.
Ruthless thy craving is, craving for kindred and forbidden blood to be outpoured, a sacrifice imbrued with sin, a bitter fruit of murderous enmities.
Yea, my own father's fateful curse proclaims a ghastly presence, and her eyes are dry. Strike! Honour is the prize, not life prolonged.
Ah, be not urged of her, for none shall dare to call thee coward in thy throned estate. Will not the Fury in her sable pall pass outward from these halls, what time the gods welcome a votive offering from our hands?
The gods! Long since they hold us in contempt, scornful of gifts thus offered by the lost. Why should we fawn and flinch away from doom?
Now when it stands beside thee, for its power may with a changing gust of milder mood temper the blast that bloweth wild and rude and frenzied in this hour.
Aye, kindled by the curse of Oedipus. All too prophetic. Out of dreamland came the vision, meting out our sire's estate.
Heed women's voices, though thou love them not.
Say aught that may avail, but stint thy words.
Go not thou forth to guard the seventh gate.
Words shall not blunt the edge of my resolve.
Yet the gods love to let the weak prevail.
That, to a swordsman, is no welcome word.
Shall thine own brother's blood be victory's palm?
Ill, which the gods have sent, thou canst not shun.
Exit Eteocles.
I shudder in dread of the power, abhorred by the gods of high heaven, the ruinous curse of the home till roof-tree and rafter be riven. Too true are the visions of ill, too true the fulfilment they bring, to the curse that was spoken of old by the frenzy and wrath of the king.
Her will is the doom of the children, and discord is kindled amain. And strange is the lord of division who cleaveth the birthright in twain, the edged thing born of the north, the steel that is ruthless and keen, dividing in bitter division the lot of the 3 children of Teen.
Not the wide lowland around the realm of their sire shall they have, yet enough for the dead to inherit, the pitiful space of a grave.
Ah, but when kin meets king, when sire and child unknowing are defiled by shedding common blood, and when the pit of death devour it, drinking the clotted stain, the gory dye, who can purify? Who cleanse pollution where the ancient bane rises and reeks again?
Whilome in olden days the sin was wrought and swift requital brought, yea, on the children of the child came still new heritage of ill. For thrice Apollo spoke this word divine from Delphi's central shrine to Laius, Die thou childless. Thus alone can the land's weal be won.
But vainly with his wife's desire he strove, and gave himself to love, begetting Oedipus, by whom he died, the fateful parricide. The sacred seed plot, his own mother's womb, he sowed, his house's doom. A root of blood, by frenzy lured they came unto their wedded shame.
And now the waxing surge, the wave of fate, rolls on them triply great. One billow sinks, the next towers high and dark above our city's bark. Only the narrow barrier of the wall totters as soon to fall. And if our chieftains in the storm go down, what chance can save the town?
Curses inherited from long ago, bringing heavy freight of woe. Rich stores of merchandise o'erload the deck. Nearer, nearer comes the wreck, and all is lost, cast out upon the wave, floating with none to save.
Whom did the gods, whom did the chief of men, whom did each citizen in crowded concourse in such honour hold as Oedipus of old, when the grim fiend that fed on human prey he took from us away? But when in the fullness of days he knew of his bridal unblest, a twofold horror he wrought in the frenzied despair of his breast.
Debarred from the grace of the banquet, the service of goblets gold, he flung on his children a curse, for the splendour they dared to withhold, a curse prophetic and bitter. The glory of wealth and of pride, with iron, not gold, in your hands ye shall come, at last to divide. Behold how a shudder runs through me, lest now, in the fullness of time, the house fiend awake and return to mete out the measure of crime.
Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. Translated by Eda Morshead. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. Enter the spy.
Take heart, ye daughters, whom your mother's milk made milky-hearted. Lo, our city stands, saved from the yoke of servitude. The vaunts of overweening men are silent now, and the state sails beneath a sky serene, nor in the manifold and battering waves hath shipped a single surge, and solid stands the rampart, and the gates are made secure, each with a single champion's trusty guard. So in the main, and at 6 gates we hold a victory assured. But at the 7th, the god that on the 7th day was born, royal Apollo, hath ta'en up his rest to wreak upon the sons of Oedipus their grandsire's wilfulness of long ago.
What further woefulness besets our home?
The home stands safe, but the princes twain.
Who? What of them? I am distraught with fear.
Hear now, and mark, the sons of Oedipus.
O my prophetic soul, I feel their doom.
Have done with questions, with their lives crushed out.
Lie they out yonder? The full horror speak. Did hands meet hands more close than brotherly? Came fate on each, and in the selfsame hour?
Yea, blotting out the lineage ill-starred. Now mix your exultation and your tears over a city saved, the while its lords, twin leaders of the fight, have parcelled out with forged arbitrament of Scythian steel the full division of their fatherland, and, as their father's imprecation bade, shall have their due of land, a twofold grave. So is the city saved. The earth has drunk blood of twin princes, by each other slain.
O mighty Zeus and guardian powers, the strength and stay of Cadmus' towers, shall I send forth a joyous cry, hail to the Lord of weal renewed? Or weep the misbegotten twain born to a fatal destiny, each numbered now among the slain, each dying in ill fortitude, each truly named, each child of feud?
O darkened all-prevailing ill that broods o'er Oedipus and all his line, numbing my heart with mortal chill, ah me, this song of mine, which Thyad-like I woke, now falleth still, or only tells of doom and echoes round a tomb. Dead are they, dead in their own blood they lie, ill omens the consent that hails our victory. The curse a father on his children spake hath faltered not nor failed. Not, Laius, thy stubborn choice availed, first to beget, then in the after day, and for the city's sake the child to slay.
For naught can blunt nor mar the speech oracular. Children of teen, by disbelief ye erred, yet in wild weeping came fulfilment of the word.
Antigone and Ismene approach with a train of mourners, bearing the bodies of Eteocles and Polynices.
Look up, look forth, the doom is plain, nor spake the messenger in vain. A twofold sorrow, twofold strike, each brave against his brother's life, in double doom hath sorrow come. How shall I speak it on the home?
Alas, my sisters, be your sighs the gale, the smiting of your brows the plash of oars, wafting the boat to Acheron's dim shores, that passeth ever with its darkened sail on its uncharted voyage and sunless way.
Far from thy beams, Apollo, god of day, the melancholy bark bound for the common bourne, the harbour of the dark. Look up, look yonder from the home, Antigone and Ismene come, on the last saddest errand bound, to chant a dirge of doleful sound, with agony of equal pain, above their brethren slain.
Their sister bosoms surely swell, heart with rent heart according well, in grief for those who fought and fell. Yet, ere they utter forth their woe, we must awake the rueful strain to vengeful powers in realms below, and mourn hell's triumph for the slain. Alas, of all the breast who bind, yea, all the race of womankind, O maidens, ye are most bereaved. For you the teardrops start, deem that in truth and undeceived ye hear the sorrows of my heart.
To the dead.
Children of bitterness and sternly brave, one proud of heart against persuasion's voice, one against exile proof. Ye win your choice, each in your fatherland a separate grave. Alack, on house and heritage they brought a baneful doom and death for wage. One strove through tottering walls to force his way, one claimed in bitter arrogance the sway, and both alike even now and here have closed their suit with steel for arbiter.
And lo, the fury fiend of Oedipus, their sire, hath brought his curse to consummation dire. Each in the left side smitten, see them laid, the children of one womb, slain by a mutual doom. Alas, their fate, the combat murderous, the horror of the house, the curse of ancient bloodshed now repaid. Yea, deep and to the heart the death blow fell, edged by their feud ineffable, by the grim curse their sire did imprecate, discord and deadly hate. Hark, how the city and its towers make moan, how the land mourns that held them for its own. Fierce greed and fell division did they blend, till death made end.
They strove to part the heritage in twain, giving to each a gain. Yet that which struck the balance in the strife, the arbitrating sword, by those who loved the twain is held abhorred. Loathed is the god of death who sundered each from life. Here the stroke of steel, behold they lie, and rightly may we cry, beside their fathers, let them here be laid. Iron gave their doom, with iron their graves be made. Alack the slaying sword, alack the entombing spade.
Alas, a piercing shriek, a rending groan, a cry unfeigned of sorrow felt at heart, with shuddering of grief, with tears that start, with wailful escort let them hither come, for one or other make divided moan. No light lament of pity mixed with gladness, but with true tears poured from the soul of sadness, over the princes dead and their bereaved home, say we above these brethren dead.
On, citizen, on, foreign foe! Brave was their rush and stern their blow. Now lowly they are laid. Beyond all women upon earth, woe, woe for her who gave them birth. Unknowingly her son she wed, the children of that marriage bed, each in the selfsame womb where bred, each by a brother's hand lies dead.
Yea, from one seed they sprang, and by one fate their heritage is desolate. The heart's division sundered claim from claim, and from their feud death came. Now is their hate allayed, now is their life stream shed, ensanguining the earth with crimson dye. Lo, from one blood they sprang, and in one blood they lie.
A grievous arbiter was given the twain, the stranger from the northern main, the sharp dividing sword, fresh from the forge and fire. The war god, treacherous, gave ill award, and brought their father's curse to a fulfilment dire. They have their portion, each his lot and doom, given from the gods on high. Yea, the piled wealth of fatherland for tomb shall underneath them lie.
Alas, alas, with flowers of fame and pride, your home ye glorified. But in the end the Furies gathered round with chants of boding sound, shrieking, in wild defeat and disarray, behold, ye pass away. The sign of ruin standeth at the gate, there where they strove with fate, and the ill power beheld the brothers fall, and triumphed over all.
Antigone, Ismene, and Chorus. Processional chant.
Thou wert smitten in smiting, thou didst slay and wert slain. By the spear of each other ye lie on the plain. And ruthless the deed that ye wrought was, and ruthless the death of the twain.
Take voice, O my sorrow! Flow tear upon tear! Lay the slain by the slayer, made one on the bier.
Our soul in distraction is lost, and we mourn o'er the prey of the spear.
Ah, woe for your ending, unbrotherly wrought! And woe for the issue, the fray that ye fought, the doom of a mutual slaughter, whereby to the grave ye are brought.
Ah, twofold the sorrow, the heard and the seen.
And double the tide of our tears and our teen.
As we stand by our brothers in death, and wail for the love that has been.
O grievous the fate that attends upon wrong! Stern ghost of our sire, thy vengeance is long. Dark fury of hell and of death, the hands of thy kingdom are strong.
O dark were the sorrows that exile hath known.
He slew, but returned not alive to his own.
He struck down a brother, but fell in the moment of triumph hewn down.
O lineage accursed, O doom and despair! Alas for their quarrel, the brothers that were.
And woe for their pitiful end, who once were our love and our care.
O grievous the fate that attends upon wrong! Stern ghost of our sire, thy vengeance is long. Dark fury of hell and of death, the hands of thy kingdom are strong.
By proof have ye learnt it, at once and as one. O brothers beloved, to death ye were done.
Ye came to the strife of the sword, and behold, ye are both overthrown.
O grievous the tale is, and grievous their fall, to the house, to the land, and to me above all.
Ah, God, for the curse that hath come, the sin and the ruin withal.
O children distraught, who in madness have died.
Shall ye rest with old kings in the place of their pride? Alas for the wrath of your sire, if he findeth you laid by his side.
Enter a herald.
I bear command to tell to one and all what hath approved itself, and now is law, ruled by the counsellors of Cadmus town. For this Eteocles, It is resolved to lay him on his earth-bed in this soil, not without care and kindly sepulture. For why? He hated those who hated us, and with all duties blamelessly performed unto the sacred ritual of his sires, he met with such an end as gains our city's grace, with auspices that do ennoble death. Such words I have in charge to speak of him. But of his brother Polynices this: be he cast out unburied for the dogs to rend and tear, for he presumed to waste the land of the Cadmeans, had not heaven, some god of those who aid our fatherland, opposed his onset by his brother's spear, to whom, though dead, shall consecration come. Against him stood this wretch, and brought a horde of foreign foemen to beset our town. He therefore shall receive his recompense, buried ignobly in the maw of kites, no women wailers to escort his corpse, nor pile his tomb, nor shrill his dirge anew. Unhouselled, unattended, cast away. So for these brothers doth our state ordain.
And I, to those who make such claims of rule in Cadmus' town, I, though no other help,
pointing at the body of Polynices,
I will bury this my brother's corse, and risk your wrath and what may come of it. It shames me not to face the state, and set will against power, rebellion resolute. Deep in my heart is set my sisterhood, my common birthright with my brothers, born all of one womb. Her children who, for woe, brought forth sad offspring to a sire ill-starred. Therefore, my soul, take thou thy willing share in aid of him who now can will no more. Against this outrage be a sister true, while yet thou livest, to a brother dead. Him never shall the wolves with ravening maw rend and devour. I do forbid the thought. I for him, I, albeit a woman weak, in place of burial pit, will give him rest by this protecting handful of light dust, which, in the lap of this poor linen robe, I bear to hallow and bestrew his corpse with the dew covering. Let none gainsay. Courage and craft shall arm me this to do.
I charge thee not to flout the city's law.
I charge thee, use no useless heralding.
Stern is a people newly scaped from death.
Whet thou their sternness. Burial he shall have.
How? Grace of burial to the city's foe?
God hath not judged him separate in guilt.
True, till he put his land in jeopardy.
His rights usurped, he answered wrong with wrong.
Nay, but for one man's sins he smote the state.
Contention doth outtalk all other gods. Prate thou no more, I will to bury him.
Will and thou wilt, but I forbid the deed.
Exit the herald.
Exulting fates, who waste the line and whelm the house of Oedipus, fiends, who have slain in wrath condign the father and the children thus, what now befits it that I do, what meditate, what undergo? Can I the funeral rite refrain, nor weep for Polynices slain? But yet with fear I shrink and thrill, presageful of the city's will. Thou, O Eteocles, shalt have full rites and mourners at thy grave, but he, thy brother slain, shall he with none to weep or cry, alas, to unbefriended burial pass? Only one sister o'er his bier, to raise the cry and pour the tear. Who can obey such stern decree?
Let those who hold our city's sway wreak or forbear to wreak their will on those who cry, ah, well a day. Lamenting Polynices still, we will go forth, and side by side with her due burial will provide. Royal he was, to him be paid our grief wherever he be laid. The crowd may sway and change, and still take its caprice for justice will, but we this dead Eteocles, as justice wills and right decrees, will bear unto his grave. For under those enthroned on high, and Zeus's eternal royalty, he unto us salvation gave. He saved us from the foreign yoke, a wild assault of outland folk, a savage, alien wave.
Exeunt. End of 7 Against Thebes by Aeschylus, translated by Eda Morshead.